Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is 3:11 a.m. and I was kind of like just trying to sit here and wake up a little bit, and I was listening to the 50s on 5. Right now it's Neil Sedaka, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do. But they played some song, now I can't remember what it was, but it was from, it was in, I mean it wasn't from the movie, but it was in the movie Stand By Me. And then I was sitting here and I was thinking about, I haven't seen the movie Stand By Me in a long time. I love that movie. That movie is great. And I was thinking about the movie Peggy Sue Got Married. So I need to put those on my list because those are really good like summer movies to watch, especially Stand By Me. And I remember saying to Alex, something came on TV and I was like, have you ever seen Stand By Me? He was like, I've never seen Stand By Me. I was like, you've never seen Stand By Me? And he was like, no. So I want to put on the list Stand By Me. And what was the other one I said? Peggy Sue Got Married. On my movie list. The other one I want to watch is, I haven't watched in a long time, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Trouble with Harry. I want to watch tons of the Alfred Hitchcock movies because I haven't in a long time. Shoot. I'm spelling Hitchcock. Hot chick. The Trouble with Harry, which when I was growing up was one of my least favorites. But I don't really I mean, I remember it was like in the fall and it was kind of like shot by like out these leaves outside, if you remember. It was with Shirley MacLaine. But the reason that the fact that I don't remember it is one of the reasons why I want to watch it. And then Arsenic and Old Lace I want to watch too. If you've never seen Arsenic and Old Lace with Cary Grant, it's fantastic. It's not an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Oh, and Sorry, Wrong Number. Sorry, Wrong Number is not a Alfred Hitchcock movie either, but I love it. And you know what? I was looking for like a whole version of it to watch somewhere, and I couldn't find a version of it. I will tell you, there is like this hilarious thing. I may have talked about this because this was a while ago I found it. There's this hilarious thing on YouTube, this version. Okay, so do you guys know the book? It was a book by Louise Fletcher, and then they turned it into a movie. And the only reason I know that is because I went and I tried to buy other books of hers because it says at the beginning of like based on the book by Louise Fletcher. And Lucille or Louise, I don't know. I think it's Lucille maybe. But anyway, I ended up buying another like book of hers called $80 to Stanford. That's about this like cab drive, that this guy's like a cab driver and this woman pays him $80 to go to Stanford, Connecticut, which at the time would have been a lot of money. And he's supposed to just stay in the car and he doesn't know what happens. And she wants a ride a week later, and it's him like trying to figure out the whole thing. And, but anyway, Sorry, Wrong Number. I want to see who wrote it. Who wrote Sorry, Wrong? Lucille Fletcher, American screenwriter. Anyway, there's this version of it on YouTube, and it's like this retirement home that has like a theater that they like put on performances. And it's so sweet, but it's so funny. So Sorry, Wrong Number is about this woman, and she's like an invalid, and she won't leave her, like she can't leave her bed, right, because she's sick. And so she's in this like, I think it's like a 2-story like apartment in New York City in like the 50s or the 40s, and like everybody's gone from the house, like all the staff has been sent home because her husband was supposed to be home already, and she picks up the phone and like the wires get crossed. Like I've talked about this on here because I can remember this happened to actually my mom one time, like on the street that we lived. This kind of did happen a couple times when I grew up. Like you could get like wires crossed still. I don't know how, because this, I mean, that would have been like in the 70s or 80s, but like my mom picked up the phone one time, and it was, I've told this story before. It was like, anyway, it was our neighbor having a very serious conversation on our street. And my mom, I said to her, I go, why did you stay on the phone and listen? She's like, well, if I hung up, they would have known somebody else was on the phone. I was like, okay, Mom. So anyway, so that was kind of weird that happened. But sorry, wrong number. She gets the lines crossed. Like, she's calling to try to get a hold of her husband, and she's like, operator. And she gets the lines crossed, and she overhears these two men plotting the murder of somebody, and some woman they're gonna kill, and she doesn't know who it is. Well, I mean, it's her, right? Like, and you know that like the whole time that you're watching the movie, but she doesn't know that. She doesn't put like two and two together. And then it goes and it flashes back about like her history and how she became rich, and her husband just married her for the money and all this kind of stuff. And then she like calls like her husband's ex-girlfriend. But like, what's so funny about it is like when you watch this, I wish I could find the version of it and tell you guys what it's called. By the way, I'm gonna put this lip gloss on. This is this lip gloss that just came in the mail from Amazon that I ordered. It is Revlon the Gloss, and it is horrible, you guys. It has this sticker on it I just took off. I don't know what it is. And then it has like a double sticker. There's like another sticker underneath it. It's horrible. It's like the worst lip. It's like, okay, so when you like get up in it, it's like all gloopy and stuff. And you can see, it looks like it's gonna be really good. But literally when you pull it out, that was a little bit better. But it feels like there's no lip gloss that comes out on the applicator. I guess you get what you pay for. It was $5. So, can I put this? Oh, by the way, somebody was, I just pulled this out of my bag. Somebody, since I was talking about colognes, asked me, or somebody said in the comment section, they said you should use Scentbird. So I've always keep one of these in my fanny pack. And I always travel with the Scentbird things because I love Scentbird, and it's really, really easy. And as far as like traveling, so if you've never seen it, like this is obviously not a sponsored video, but if you've never seen it, you like take it out. They don't have like a lot of the colognes that I wear on Scentbird, but they have a lot of the colognes I do. They actually have a lot of the colognes that Alex wears, but they have a lot of the colognes that I like. And they have like Bulgari Men, and they have like Burberry are the two that I really like. And then they have another one, and I think it's something Oud. Which one is this? This is Aqua de Parma. And this is like a new one that I tried the last time. And anyway, if I take like one of these on a weekend trip with me, like I can make the whole thing last for like a whole weekend. And plus some, right? So it's perfect for like going on a flight for like the weekend, for like Dallas or like Miami or something. Like I took one, like I took a Burberry one to Miami for the first time I went to Miami in November, and it was great. Plus it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. I like this. I usually just do the, oh, that's nice. I usually just do the Bulgari Men. I feel like I have another one in here too. Oh, I do. Maybe this is the one I was saving for Tanya, and this is a perfume. Maybe that's why it's full. Although it doesn't smell like a perfume. Here's the other one. Oh, shoot. I think this one is dead. I think we're all out. It's not letting me pull it out. I don't know why. Oh, there it goes. Okay, this one is John Barbarossa Oud. This one is really nice. I don't have much of this left, though. Yeah, I think that other one is the one I was given to Tanya, and it's just been in here for so long because I haven't seen her. Ooh. That is nice. Strong though, a lot. Ooh, a lot going on in here tonight. Ooh, oh, that is nice. I really like that one. Yeah. Okay, that's the John Barbarossa Oud. My favorite is the Burberry and the Bulgari Men now. I just looked over here at this lip gloss and I thought, look at this. This is so funny. They look really similar. But you see, like, they just like fit like so easily in here. I have so much crap in here, you guys. Pens. I have so many lip gloss. Look at these. These lip glosses. That coffee lip gloss I still have in here, even though I haven't worn it in forever. Gum. My wallet. I guess I could throw this Marc Jacobs lip gloss out now. The Marc Jacobs lip gloss. Do I have another Scentbird thing in here? I don't know, I was like, is that another Scentbird thing? But anyway, oh, I should probably keep one. Where's the lip gloss? Keep the lip gloss out. I'm so easily distracted. If I had been like in the 70s or early 80s, and I had been a woman, I would have been that girl that was just, of course, just naturally gorgeous, right? With my hair like parted down the middle. I would have worn like a white button-down collared shirt, but like unbuttoned it like here, you know? With like skin-tight Jordache jeans on. And with my shirt tucked in, you know, like the kind of blousey out. Maybe like a silk white shirt. And then my hair would have been parted down the middle and brown and like this length and feathered back. And, but very, you know, just kind of like natural beauty, right? Big, thick red lipstick. And of course, candies. Remember the candies shoes? With the huge wood heel on it. But it would be one of those kind of shoe boot deals. That was really a mule that was open in the back. And then I would have had one of those purses that looks like the deals that you get at the state fair. That's like 100% suede leather. They call it suede leather, not just suede, not just leather, but suede leather. That has like the satchel that goes over. I actually bought one of these, but it was all leather, not suede. I actually have it in my basement. I'm sure you're surprised it's in my basement. But it's a messenger bag. I have to bring that out. I'm going to break that out. That's going to be my new bag for the summer. I'm going to have a throwback to the 70s. I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that girl. And, but, you know, like this, it was like those, I think I'm like thinking of a babysitter I had. I had this babysitter named Teresa when I was growing up. This is probably her. Our neighbors caught her having boys over to our house and smoking cigarettes and drinking beer on the front porch. She never babysat for us again. But she did live on our street, but I loved her. She was very cool. So anyway, she was a real nice babysitter though, but I just remember, like my mom said, I think I overheard my mom telling her friend or something on the phone that she had to find another sitter because she couldn't use the same girl because the neighbors were upset because they caught her like smoking cigarettes and drinking beer on the front porch. My mom was probably like, and, you know. So anyway, but she had like longer hair, like past her shoulders and like feathered back, and it was like real dark, you know, rich brown, mahogany brown. And then, you know, I wanted one of those purses that has like the flap that goes over, you know, just like one flap, and then it's got like the long fringe on it. And I'd just be I'd be in class just like not paying attention whatsoever, rifling through that purse. With a pack of Kents or Vantage with the holes in the remember, or Eves, you know. And I keep a little flask in there because, of course, I'd be a bad girl and I would drink when I was in high school. Why am I going with this whole storyline? And lipstick. And one of those roller brushes, my husband uses those, so I shouldn't laugh. My aunt, she used to use them too. But the roller brushes, just roll back that part and then, like, you know what I'm talking about? Kind of like, and then a pick. Oh, a pick, of course, to pick out your hair on the bottom, you know? Do people use picks anymore? I never see anybody use like a pick. All my girlfriends back in the day had picks for the bangs and stuff like that. Anyway, what was this version of Sorry Wrong Number? I have to tell you which one it is. It's so funny. Where am I at on time? So I'm gonna start the vlogs in the driveway and then head out afterwards. I do like that. A couple people mentioned that they liked it like that, so that's what I'll be doing. My plan was to vlog earlier tonight, and so here it's the first one that comes up by Joy H. Ruby. It's 26 minutes long. Hold on a second. And it says, a dramatized reading by the Coast Center for Seniors Drama Group, directed by Joy Ruby. Oh, right underneath it, you can listen to this. This is like one of the things that I have. The Theater of the Mind, Suspense, Sorry Wrong Number by Agnes Moorehead, CBS, 9/6/1945, Radio Mystery Theater. Okay, so that's one of, oh, they have a lot of them on here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they have a lot of like these like audio tapes that I used to listen to. And they have X-1 Project Mastodon. See if there's any more on here that I remember that are really good. Philip Marlowe, The Pelican's Roost, Gunsmoke. Oh, Christmas Story, that would be a fun one. The Christmas versions of these are really good sometimes. The Christmas and the Halloween ones. I didn't know these were on here. I mean, I have some in the basement. I loved listening to the Fibber, McGee, and Molly because it was very much like the Honeymooners or kind of like Married with Children, but it was like their version of it back in the day. Suspense, The Lonely Road. Deadbeat, the man who claimed to be dead. You guys, these are all on here. They're like a half an hour long. I can't believe it. The Whistler. Oh, the Jack Benny program. Okay, that was one of them that my mom and I used to listen to. Jack Benny program, Humphrey Bogart. What year was that? You can kind of hear it here. Listen up.
City in Hollywood, we bring you the Jack Benny Show with his special guest, Humphrey Bogart, presented by Lucky Strike.
Isn't that so homey? I love that. 10/25/53. I did not. This channel is fantastic. Oh, it has classic TV on here too. It has The Fugitive. But it's mostly radio shows. And there's like 20 to 30,000 views on all of them. Some of them 80,000 views, some of them 50. Some of them 7.8. Old time radio show. Is there like a playlist of the different? There is. Philip Marlowe, Gunsmoke, The Old Die Rich, Johnny Dollar. I am going to subscribe to this. The Theater of the Mind is what it is called. But then I want to look and see if Fibber, McGee, and Molly, if you pull it up, if there's, I don't know why it never even occurred to me to, here, it's the first time, Fibber, McGee, and Molly show. Radio shows old time. Oh, there's tons of them. There's actually 614 of them. It's probably every show that they ever did. Oh, yep, it sure is right here. You can listen to all of them.
The Johnson Wax Program. The makers of Johnson's Wax.
So just imagine, okay? Because I would have a hard time falling asleep when I was a kid. So we would put on my fan, and then my mom would tuck me in. This is when I was younger. And then she would put a pillow and like a blanket or a pillow and a sleeping, what do you call it? Sleeping bag on the floor next to me, like, because I had like bunk beds, so she would put it like on the floor next to me. And then we would play one of these until I fell asleep. And then, when I was like asleep or almost asleep, my mom would like go into the other room.
This question. If you're having guests for Thanksgiving, what two things should you do now so you'll be ready?
And this is how I fell asleep, was listening to these old-time radio shows. And isn't that crazy that 40 years later, I listen, like, I do a vlog every single night. I just think it's, I don't know, it's funny to me. You know, for a long time, and I've talked about it on here before, I wanted to do, like, let me turn this down, hold on a second. I wanted to do, like a variety show. Like, I thought that would be really fun to do a podcast and do like a variety show. But the reality is, I would need somebody if I was going to do it because I'm so busy like throughout the day anyway, I would need somebody to help me with like the production of all of it. Like I could script it and I can do all that, but I don't have enough people, A, that are interested in doing it, and B, that are interested in like being, you know, even voices of it and stuff like that. Because one of the things I thought would be cool, I was going to start it with getting the original script to the movie Halloween, and then I was going to get like Melissa and Aaron and all of us, Alex and Jason and Eric and everybody, and we would each take a role, and then we would read it like out loud, and we would do like a podcast of the movie Halloween. Because one year my ex and I were driving to his it was not a good Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas, but I think it was Thanksgiving. Maybe it was Christmas because it was Christmas, but anyway. And we were listening to like this local radio station. They got the script to the claymation version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? With the Burl Ives version. And they were like the cast, like, you know, like it's a local radio show that does like a morning radio show every week. It was 99.5 WZPL. Anyway, they put it like or maybe it was Bob and Tom, but I don't think it was Bob and Tom. They were doing like a live reading of the script, and it was so fun, and it was like a variety show, and they had sounds and bells and doors closing and all that kind of stuff, you know? So I thought that would be really fun to do like a weekly variety show, and then you could like read a different script from a different TV show. Like you could do Three's Company one week, and you could do like Designing Women another week, and do different roles and assign different roles, right? It would be really funny. And then you could have a beginning and an end to the show, like a variety show, do other stuff too, or have like a guest on there or whatever, right? But to pull it together, there's just no way I could, if I had like an assistant and I had like a production person but I mean, it's not like it was going to make any money anyway. I was just going to do it for fun. And if I didn't stay up so damn late, like that's probably the reality of it, is if I got up earlier, you know, in the morning, then maybe I could get it all done. I don't know. Doing 5 videos in a day is a lot. I love it. The thing is that it's hard for me to get started because I'll be like, okay, this is what I want. I want to do this video, and I want to do this video, and I try to figure out like what order it would make the most sense to film them and get them up. And then on top of that, I have this other project that I'm like working on that I'm going to be posting in a couple months, right? So I'm like thinking that through. And then, you know, like if I get, like I'm answering some emails, some business emails and things like that. So I'm sitting there and I'm doing all that kind of stuff, but then I'm like trying to think through the videos. Like today, it took me a long time. I don't know why it did. But like, okay, so today, like I made my video. I have to sit down there and I have to like watch like the stuff, like if I have any video clips or anything like that, like Instagram stories. This is for my drama video, right? And then I have to go in, because I'm basically like one shot where I read the receipts and all this. This is gonna sound stupid, right? But like, I'm one shot. Like other people like will edit out their videos so they can like look down and like read it and whatever. I don't want to do that. Like even if I knew how to do all, which I do know how to do all that now, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend an hour editing my videos where there's like jump clips and stuff like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not what I want to do. I want to sit down and film my video from beginning to end. Well, for that to be the case, I have to know the receipts in my head. Does that make sense? Like I have to know, okay, this receipt says such and such, this Instagram post says this tweet says this, and I have to also know, okay, it's about 4 or 5 rows up in my camera, so, or I have to screenshot it so that they're right in a row. Sometimes I do that to more orderly, but does that make sense? So that I know exactly where it is, so that when I go to look for it, it's right there. I have to know exactly what it says. So that takes me like, that's like reading your lines right before you go on, and it's not like I script that stuff really, because I don't. I'll just sit down and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna talk about this, I'm gonna reference this. And often, my favorite videos to do on that channel are where I like read the Beauty Guru Reddit, and I'll go into it and I'll say to myself, like I'll read the first part of it, like where somebody's posted it, and I'll say, I'm not gonna read the rest because I wanna get on camera. I wanna get my immediate response of what I felt like when I was reading, because then I want it to be like surprise or funny, which those are sometimes the funniest moments, right? So to me, it's about also not being too planned out for it. I don't want it to be too scripted. Like, well, in other news, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to be too scripted because that's not funny to me. And the reality is my videos for me on my drama channel are 50-50. It's 50, and I think this is where sometimes people, they don't get it. Like, I think you kind of have to get this to really like that channel. Like, people that really, really take the drama seriously, like, they don't understand that that channel is also a place for fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably not the place to come where you're gonna find the most hard-hitting, like, news stories in the world, right? Because it's 50% drama and tea, and it's 50% laughing, drama phones, fans, you know, voices, doing all funny stuff, talking about a scroll table. Today I threw up, this woman sent me her glamour shots picture, which I absolutely loved. This tree over here is blowing in the wind. It's kind of scaring me. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's all of that together, and I do that for the enjoyment of the person that watches it, so that the person that's watching it, if they're there because they want to hear about whatever scandal somebody's gotten themselves into, well, they can get the drama, right? But then for the person that doesn't know who that person is, they can be entertained. And I do it for both of those people, right? So I have to kind of plan for that, and that usually takes like a half an hour to get kind of like ready to sit down and do all that. Then the Peterisms channel, I just usually grab the meditations, but I'm wanting to do more story times over there, working up to this project that I'm doing on that channel. That one's pretty easy because I just grab whichever meditations I'm going to do, and I usually do my Peterisms channel last. My Booktube video is fun to do, and it doesn't take a lot of preparation. What takes a lot of time with that is when I have to put in, like, if I do like a haul, or if I do like what I read in a certain month, and I put like, if I read like 8 books, and then I have to like screenshot each book cover, and then I have to, like, you know, go in and crop it, and then send it to my computer, and then like insert it into the video. So like the editing of all of that is what takes some time for something that seems like, you know, like nothing, like just a flash on the screen or something. And then, the review videos I love to do, but often by that point, it's like so late, it's like 7 o'clock, that I'm like, you know, like Alex is like, okay, are we gonna watch TV or get something to eat, and I'm like trying to figure out what I'm gonna review, that I'm always just kind of like, I'll just do it tomorrow. And that's what's actually happened the last couple days, is like, I've gotten up, well, and this, you know, and I will say, the last couple days getting up and getting coffee has been to my detriment, because I'll get coffee and then like I'll do like a loop and come back, and then I'm kind of like, or I've talked to somebody on the phone for a couple minutes while I'm drinking coffee, and then it's been like a half an hour, 40 minutes, which puts me back like, you know, an hour. And I was like, okay, this is why I was getting my videos out so much later, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right? Because first of all, I was getting up a little bit earlier, but I was driving around for like an hour doing errands, talking on the phone and stuff. So it actually takes me a long time, like start to finish, to do like the vlog plus 2 videos. Like 2 videos right now is taking me literally like 2 hours, which is nothing in comparison to what people do, but you know, when they edit and all that kind of stuff. But I know I'm not that. But for me to like do all of my videos in a day, it probably is a minimum. It seems like it takes me longer than it used to. Probably a minimum of 5+ hours. And when I get started, I want to do them all. You know what I mean? You know, Alex and I were talking, he's like, well, he was like, babe, why don't you use your office for that then too, you know? And I'm like, well, I could, but then I don't want to, like, I'm kind of afraid, like, if I do that, then I'll be over there and it'll be like 10 o'clock and you'll be texting me like, are you gonna be home anytime soon? And then I'll be like, yeah, let me just finish one more video. Because that's how I am, you know? Let me just do one more video. Let me just read for another half an hour. Let me just watch 10 more minutes of this show, you know? But I need to start getting up earlier, going and get my coffee, coming right back, and then being like, okay, I'm gonna just sit down and like get this stuff done. Because like once I get started, and last month, I literally was like posting videos one day, not posting anything the next. Posting videos one day, not posting for 2 days. And it really affected my mood, I think. I'm definitely happier when I'm creative and I'm producing something. Am I at the very last couple minutes? It's gonna stop here in like 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. That was kind of fun. But no, like, I'm definitely happier when I'm producing something and I'm more creative. I think we all are, you know? Whether that's like baking something every day or trying new recipes or gardening or, you know, I don't know, doing origami for, you know, Judy Smith, whatever it is, or athletics or coaching something. If you're a coach for your kid's athletics team or involved in like, you know, some group for, you know, PTA or whatever it is that you do, you know, I think I always feel more productive on the days that I have a lot to do than on the days I have nothing to do. On the days that I have nothing to do, I feel like I could just do nothing and I don't feel productive at all. I like to actually have a lot of stuff to do. I feel more productive, you know? So, yeah. Did you see that thing on Facebook where you can, well, I mean, it's been around forever. It's like you can make not an emoji, but like a version of yourself. So I tried really hard to make this. This is as close as I could come. This looks absolutely nothing like me. Look at this. Alex's looks just like him. Look at that. That looks nothing like me. I tried so hard. I even gave myself the wrinkles and everything. I don't know what I did wrong. Right here in this is very true, though. You can give those wrinkles to yourself. Okay, I'm going to talk about this movie I started last night, or this morning, before I went to go to bed, because Tanya told me I should watch it. So, have y'all seen this? I haven't finished it yet. I'm only a third of the way through, so don't ruin it for me. Have y'all seen this movie, A Secret Love? This documentary on Netflix? So, it's about this lesbian couple. I think they're like in their 80s. Oh, late 80s, I think. I don't know how old they are, actually. And I should look, but I'm afraid if I look and find out that like one of them's passed, because I have a feeling that's going to be part of the story. I don't know that yet. A Secret Love. But they've been together for 65 years. Starring I love that it says it's starring somebody that yeah, I shouldn't have looked that up. She was 93 when she passed. Well, that's sad. She was like in a league of their own and everything. I think this is really, to be honest with you, like, I think this is really screwed up that she's in that movie. Hold on a second, I want to see this. I know it does say it on here. But you know, I think this is really screwed up at the top of it, because you know, like on Wikipedia where it says like somebody's spouse and stuff, it doesn't list her spouse's name. And in the very bottom it says, in 2020, Netflix released a documentary, A Secret Love, which chronicles Donahue's ultimately 72-year relationship with her wife, Emma Marie Pat Henschel. The couple got married on Donahue's birthday in 2015, which is a big part of the documentary about the getting married. Okay, wait. Can you imagine being with somebody 72 years? 72 years. Crazy. But anyway, she's in an assisted living program. She was the part that made me sad, you So they're this couple, and at the beginning, they live in some place in Illinois, and they're getting ready to... It starts off, and they're going to visit Terry's family in Edmonton, Canada, where they're from. And it's like her nieces and stuff. It's like her niece and nephew or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, they're younger. And the niece is real nice. The main niece, I can't remember what her name is. She calls her Aunt Terry. What is her name? I just said on here because I think she's the other one that it's starring. But when it says a documentary is starring somebody. When I was watching this is what's driving me crazy right now, and I don't know why, but when I was listening to the 50s on 5, I think it was the 50s on 5, maybe it was the 60s on 6, whatever era it came from, but that song Folsom City Blues came on, but I think it's Johnny Cash. Oh my god, it's like stuck in my head right now. Do you ever hate that when you can't get a song stuck out of, or get a song out of your head? Why can't I find this? Where I just was looking at it like 2 minutes ago, and it said starring Diana Bolin. Here she is. Okay, so this is Terry's niece. And I wanted to see if it talked about how old she is in the... I mean, not that it really matters, but I just kind of wondered if it would say, because maybe it'll change over the course of the documentary. But like, this documentary was really, really hard for me to watch. I think I'm gonna drive while I talk about this part of it, because I really had a hard time with it. And I was trying to talk to Tanya about it, because like Tanya had a different reaction to this documentary. She's like, I thought the documentary was so sweet and so nice. And I said, no, don't get me wrong, it really was. I said, but you know, like, I think first of all, it was like the first time that I really realized, not the first time, but one of the moments that I really realized my age as a gay man in our society today. You know, I think in 2020, in a somewhat metropolitan, yes, conservative, but still very safe city of Indianapolis, you know, where I think today being gay is very stereotyped as, you know, working out, being, you know, gym and fitness focused, and, you know, couple Instagrams, and, gay couples are adopting babies left and right and having babies, and, you know, they're model-esque looking, and everybody likes Lady Gaga, and, you know, it's all this, right? And so there's this huge acceptance of being gay to some degree. It's like, even if you are homophobic and you don't accept people that are gay, and I don't, like, and I'm not saying, of course I don't want to deal with that, and I don't know when it switched, but it's almost like you need to be silent about that at this point, because, like, and this just, I feel like, turned in the last 10 years, because, it's like everybody knows somebody that's gay, everybody, you know, has, like, a gay nephew, or, you know, it's just, it's a different generation, and I feel like even in movies and pop culture today, gay men and lesbians and the LGBT community and things like that are portrayed as very strong individuals, which, thank God for that, right? Like, thank God we're being portrayed that way, you know, as... But at the same time, and I don't think completely, I still think there's a lot of stereotypical ways that we are portrayed, but not like we were with Boys in the Band, and, you know, what was the movie with Shirley MacLaine, you know, just not the way that we were back in the day, right? Like, when you would watch a movie and it was like everything was stereotypical, this is a funny gay person. It was always that, you know? And then we went through the era where all of the pop culture movies, like literally when I came out, every movie, if you wanted to see yourself in a movie, it was like Angels in America or like Jeffrey. It was all these movies that were all about AIDS. So you couldn't find yourself in pop culture without it being about AIDS, right? And I can remember saying to people, I can remember saying to my mom, like, this is a really good friend of mine. Or like, you know, when we would start dating, like, I didn't feel comfortable saying, like, we're dating. You know, and I was out to my mom and dad, but I would say, like, this is like, he's a good friend of mine, because he wasn't my boyfriend yet, and what do you say, you know? And, I can remember parking in parking lots of gay bars, and not just that, but gay restaurants, you know, and going to Boys Town in Chicago and being a little afraid to walk around, and, you know, it was just, I felt that fear. I still feel that fear. I really do, depending on where I'm at. I don't always 100% feel safe. And there were two moments in the movie that really got me. There was a moment when Terry, the older part of the couple, they're going to look at this assisted living program, and it's like this woman, and first of all, I felt like it really was eye-opening to me about how we are very patronizing and condescending of our elderly. So Terry, the older one, she was one of the female baseball players that played in the American League in the 50s, okay? Like, did you ever see A League of Their Own? So she's like a historical figure. They even refer to her as a feminist activist in the book because they were playing baseball, these women, right? And at this one point, they go to, like, I think it's the John Hancock building in Chicago. I think is it that one or the Sears Tower? I can't remember which one, but it's the one that, like, I think it's the John Hancock building. And they, like, worked there, like, when it was an original, like, back in the day, like, in this office. And they're talking, and this guy is, like, showing them around, and she gives them, like, one of her baseball cards. And he's very nice. The guy's really sweet in the documentary. But at the same time, there was a bit of a, like, it kind of felt like he was patronizing her a little bit, kind of talking down to her a little bit. Is the rain so ASMR or what? This is literally our third day of, like, torrential downpours, and as much as I love it, I'm kind of like with, like, a day without rain, honestly. He doesn't necessarily talk down to her, but it's very much like she's my grandma, kind of like, that's how he treats her, you know? And I'm like, these women have dealt with more and are doing more, you know, in their lives. Anyway, so they're in this nursing home, this assisted living program, and they're looking at these apartments, and the one is like, yeah, I don't want a one bedroom, it's too small. And the lady's like, well, that's really all we have, and whatever. So they're sitting down, and the older one is like, she said, do you have any same-sex couples here? And the woman says, no, but we have family members that are same-sex couples of the people that come to visit. And she says, well, how do you think they would be treated if you did? And she says, because we are one. And it's just in how she says it that you can tell there's a lack of being comfortable with even saying that. And like, that, and what it is, because I lived it for a very long time, is a protection for the person that you're talking to, because you don't know how they're going to respond. It's like, the whole world knows you're gay, but like, then you have to say, hey, I'm gay, and they look at you like you're crazy because you're what a stereotypical, like, that person would be in their eyes. But like, you don't know if they know, so you have to tell them, you know? And it's like, I don't know, it just was really hard for me to watch, because I could remember those days back then. I mean, I don't meet people today and tell them I'm gay, you know? I'll just say my husband, and they can get over it. If they don't like it, that's their crap, not mine. But I can remember back in the day, like, you know, I would say, like, to somebody, well, just so you know, I'm gay. And they would say, oh yeah, I knew, I could tell, or I knew. And just think about how offensive that is, right? For me to say to somebody, like, just so you know, like, I'm letting you know so that you're comfortable, and then they would say, oh, well, I already knew because of how you talk or something you said, or, you know what I mean? Like, but you're saying it, you're coming out over and over and over and over again for their level of comfort. And it brought up a lot of those memories for me. And you know, I have a very small family, and I'm thankful that Alex's family loves me unconditionally. And his mom is always like, you're like my son, and, you know, Fufu and Jesse and Carlos and Liliana, they're just wonderful to me, and they treat me like, you know, a brother and everything. But in this relationship on this show, Terry's family doesn't necessarily love Pat. And they go to visit her, and I was blown away. 65 years they've been together when this documentary is being filmed, right? And they sit there, and they have the nerve to say, after 65 years, well, we think that Pat, like, coerced Terry into staying in Illinois. Terry wouldn't still be in Illinois if it wasn't for Pat telling her she had to. Terry wants to be up here. I'm like, yeah, 65 years married. Like, I don't even know heterosexual couples that are married for 65 years, let alone a lesbian couple. Okay, let's just be for real. You know, like, I think that's saying a lot about the power of love. 72 they were before she passed away, you know? To, like, and then they're like, oh, well, you know, Pat's just always been around, you know, Terry. Pat's just always been part of what we know. And I'm like, they were together for like 20 years before you were even born. You know, and here you are, and they feel like they have to come to you to accept their relationship. I'm like, what world do we live in? Because these people are younger, and so she finally comes out to her one niece, and she's actually the one likable person in the family, but even she doesn't like the partner. And she's like, yeah, there's basically, she says there's no love lost between her and her partner. And I'm like, at one point she says, you know, like, I feel like my relationship with Pat has never been genuine, and she doesn't really care about me. And then Pat says, yeah, like, I can tell, like, they only tolerate me because of Terry. Like, everybody loves Terry, so they tolerate me because of Terry. And then there's a discussion later about marriage, because it's interesting that they got married, because I didn't know that. So maybe that's in the show. But this is why marriage is important to gay couples, okay? And, you know, when we were going through marriage equality issues and whatever, and it being legalized, and people didn't understand, why is this a big deal? Like, okay, you can be together, you can be a couple, you can have the same rights, which we can't, but why is it a big deal that you are, like, married? Like, why do you need that as a right? Okay, this is a good example. They've been together 65 years, and her family, that they don't even live near or see on a regular basis, can justify that the reason they don't see their aunt is because of the other partner that keeps her in Illinois, which is not the case, okay, that she's been with for 65 years. So that partner is sick and in the hospital, and what do they say? They could possibly say, we don't want her around because she's kept our aunt from us for all these years, and our aunt doesn't want her around anymore. Now, imagine being away from your partner at 65 years of being together because that person's family doesn't feel like you need to be in that room, doesn't feel like you need to be by there, and it's all of a sudden making decisions as their family. And you have no rights whatsoever because you aren't next of kin. You aren't anybody, basically, legally. And that is why marriage equality was important. That's one of the major reasons that legally that we were bound to each other, you know? A lot of this reminded me of that show. It was so hard to watch, If These Walls Could Talk. And then it goes into this whole thing where they go visit this gay couple that they were friends with in Chicago. They lived in downtown Chicago for 20 years in Old Town. It's such a beautiful area of Chicago. I have this thing down in the basement I've been meaning to get framed for the last 20 years. It's this poster that my mom and dad got. So let me just tell you, that's how old it is. It says, like, Old Town Festival, Chicago, Illinois, like 1977 on it. Can you believe that? I have that in the basement. It's all rolled up. Been meaning to get it, like, framed forever. It's cool. But they go and they have dinner with, like, this couple that they're friends with, this gay couple. and they're talking about like the 40s and Governor or Mayor Daley, which is funny because maybe it was the 50s, I don't know, because my mom used to talk about Mayor Daley, so he must have been around when my mom and dad lived in Chicago, because my mom used to talk about him. And they're like talking about how the gay bars, like we know this with Stonewall and stuff now, you know, but the gay bars would be, and that other, what was it? Oh, that documentary that I watched about that shop in on Polk Street in Chicago, but that was run by that couple, that family, that porn store. There was actually, that had been a bar like 3 years before Stonewall. I think it's in that documentary, they talk about it, that had actually been raided. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like 3 years before Stonewall. But anyway, we're talking about those kind of, that era, but this is like maybe like later 40s, early 50s. This would have been the 50s. They were raiding bars. And if you were a woman and you had on 3 pieces of clothing that could be identified as male, you could be arrested on the street and all this kind of stuff. It was scary stories, but even if you were just in this bar, they could arrest you in these gay establishments. And then what they would do is they would put your name up in the paper that you had been arrested for being there. They would just like make a list of it, and then they would say your name, your age, and then they would say your place of employment. And so these people were losing their jobs because they were, you know, school teachers and principals and whatever. And at that time, you know, it was deemed illegal. So these people were losing their jobs, not just getting arrested. They were losing their livelihood and their lives. That's not too long ago, you know? Like, that's not too long ago. That's scary to me. And I mean, it really isn't too long ago that at all, 6 years ago, you guys, that we could be legally married. 2014, I think, is when it was. I think that's when we got legally married. It hasn't been that long, you know? It's scary to me. And so they were talking about how they were like, yeah, we always had to wear dresses and lipstick and heels. We had to play the part. And, which that's more, you know, like talking about like gender identification, but what society perceives a man and a woman, a heterosexual man and a woman to be, which that's interesting to me. And that's changed a lot, you know? But then it goes in and they were talking about how like they would just go to parties because they were too afraid to go anywhere. And she says like, yeah, she was like, this Terry says like, Pat and I decided that we weren't going to go out to any bars or anything because like they never went to a bar like when they lived in Chicago. I can't imagine like they lived in Chicago for 20 years. They never went to a gay bar once. Because they were too scared. It's an important documentary, but it's hard for me to watch. It's bringing up a lot of stuff. I think that's why it's important to pay, you know, homage historically to the generations that came before us and the people that paved the way before us. And to really understand it, too. You know, I always get questions from people and they're like, well, were you out in high school? No, I wasn't out of high school. I got my ass beat every single day. Every single day. You know, sometimes I wish, like, looking back, and I think I romanticize this idea that people would have been protective of me because like my friends were protective of me, or people really wouldn't care after some point. But that's the part of me that romanticizes and forgets how really bad it was on a daily basis, that my car was screwed with all the time. I came out to my car one time this was my sophomore year. This was my sophomore year. This was my junior year. This was my junior year because I didn't have a car until my junior year. First semester, and I came out, and somebody had taken, they had ripped metal things off my car, and they had, like, you know, siding and stuff like that, and they had taken lipstick, and they had written, you know, the F word, the whole word, with the 2 G's and the T. They had written it all over, and there's a difference to me, there is, and it's also how you say it, and I don't care if people understand that or not, but, I have been called that word sometimes with so much vile hatred in somebody's heart that I literally thought that they would kill me if they could. But that word was written all over my car in bright red lipstick. You ever tried to get lipstick off a car? Well, of course I had to drive it away, and it was written over my car probably 50 times. Every day my locker was screwed with. I can't tell you how many times I got called down to the dean's office because those words were written on my locker with black Sharpie, and then the dean would want to know what I was doing to provoke that. Are you kidding me? Like, what I was doing to provoke that stuff. I was pushed and harassed more times than I can tell you, and you know what is really scary about this? Because I didn't want to draw a lot of attention to it, even with my girlfriends, because you know I had like 5 or 6 girlfriends that I was real close to in high school. But I wasn't out to them. Like, I had a girlfriend like my senior year in high school. So I wasn't out to them. And I didn't want to have that discussion. I didn't want them to ask me, are you gay? So I didn't tell them what was going on when they weren't walking next to me. Because when they were walking next to me, a lot of it didn't happen. But when they were not next to me, like, it was horrible. It was like a horror story. And so, but I didn't tell them. So I was really, like, going through all of that completely alone, you know, because I wouldn't sit there and call up, you know, one of my girlfriends and be like, let me tell you what happened today with such and such. I mean, they saw it, you know, because it was just, it was constant. But, like, I wasn't bringing it up more because I didn't want to have that conversation with my girlfriends and be like, oh yeah, well, how do you feel about that? Well, you know, it hurts because I am. Like, I didn't come out to one person, you know? I'm like, is that true? I'm like, did I come out to anybody? You know, like, until after I came out. Like, and I came out. But it was scary to me, you know? And I look back, and I sometimes think to myself, well, I wish I would have been out. It wouldn't have been any different. It would have been different. It would have been worse. And I know that. Because I could say, like, somebody could say, you know, like, you're gay and whatever, you know, that's disgusting, and use all the horrible words. Because there's, you know, 50 words, 100 words that they would call me. And all of them hurt. And I don't care when people say words don't hurt. My husband says that. He's like, they're just words. Well, they hurt me. They were demeaning, and they were used to ridicule, and they were used to hurt me, and they did. And I did allow them to have power at the time. I don't know, maybe they wouldn't have power today, but they did at the time. But I think that had I come out and the school wasn't there to back me and protect me, and of course my parents couldn't be, I really do think that my ass would have been beat on a regular basis. I think there were some guys I went to school with that were so threatened by me that I think that, which is ridiculous, this whole church was just, when did that happen? God, I have been gone for a while. The whole church is just gone. They took it down. I think there were some guys in high school, I know that there were some guys, well, I mean, I know of 2 guys that, one guy that, anyway, I'm not going to get into the stories, but I know that they would have felt the need to kick my ass to prove something, if that makes sense. And I really think I would have been in some legitimate physical danger. I already was. I think I would have been in more, and on a more regular basis. So, and then I never would have ever put myself in a position where I was by myself, or I was scared to be by myself. But I don't even think that my girlfriends, if they looked back on it and I told them, like, it stopped. I think if I told my girlfriends, like, of course, you know, I mean, it's been 30 years, I don't remember a lot of it, but, like, if I told my girlfriends, you know, today, like, certain situations that we had and that we went through, like, just as a small note, like, I did this because I loved my girlfriends, but I also did it, you know, for other reasons. I always drove to and from school with somebody, and I always walked into school and out of school with somebody. I never walked out of school or into school by myself. I was too afraid to do that. And that's just like one small example, but I was very controlled in always having somebody be with me, like in what I was doing, because I didn't want to be alone. And if I was alone, then, you know, and then, like, I didn't go to the bathroom during passing periods. I always waited until I was in a classroom, and then I would ask to go use the restroom, and I would always go to a certain restroom in the school that was by, the dean's office, well, by the office. And the reason why was because my friend's mom in high school, she worked in that office, and she was right there, and I knew if anything happened, I could just come out, and she would be right there. I was terrified of the bathroom. I was terrified of the locker room. So, I don't know went I've always kind of wondered this, and I've never really known why, and he's passed away since. But when I went to high school, went to Carmel High School, home of the Greyhounds. We had a professor. My gym teacher, my sophomore year, you had to take gym, you know, your sophomore year for an entire year. My teacher was the football coach. His name was Jim Belden. And he looked like every bit, he's passed away since. And he looked like every bit, here I am talking about my football coach, Jim Belden. And look at me putting on lip gloss. I hope you enjoy that in heaven, Jim. Who, I don't know why, but for some reason, the man took mercy on me and was probably one of the nicest teachers I ever had in high school, and I don't even know that he knew or remembered who I was. But I had gym 7th period, and the locker rooms were bad. I had a real bad incident right when gym started that year, and I had to swim, and so you have to do swimming. You have to pass swimming to graduate, okay, or you did back then. So I had swimming, like, the first, I think it's like, you do it like a 4 weeks or 6 weeks or something like that. I think it was 4 weeks or 3 weeks. I had that, and then tennis. Well, I played tennis, okay? I played for the high school. So, and I loved to swim, and I knew I had to pass swimming. So I wore my swimsuit to school underneath my clothes every single day, and then just took off my jeans and walked right out to the swimming pool, and then did the swimming stuff and passed it. And then I did tennis. Then I started getting real harassed in gym, and I dressed, this was when I had the incident that happened, and he came in and he, like, interfered with the whole situation. I don't know what happened, but the man after that, like, there's more to this story, and, like, some sick notes were written and things like that for, you know, passing me in gym and, like, me not having go to gym class for a while. But anyway, he made me his assistant, and he just was like, here's what you're gonna do, and you're going to, you know, like, with, like, the running and whatever, you're gonna record the scores, and I'll pass you, and, you know, basically, I mean, he said it to me. He was like, you know, like, here, this is what you're gonna do, and this is gonna be your participation for the class, and that's what I did. And, I didn't have to dress out. I didn't even have to walk into the locker room for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year. And, he saved my life, honestly, I think. That locker room scared the hell out of me. And I don't know why he did that. I really don't. He was just a stone cold kind of like man. I remember he had like this plastered kind of blonde hair. It looked like he was from like the 80s. He wore those like athletic teacher shorts, you know, and always like, and like a polo shirt tucked in, you know, those real uncomfortable like shorts things. He looked like a football coach, you know, with the socks pulled up way high on his calves. And he was kind of a big guy, not heavy, but just like big, you know, but like he took mercy on me, and I have no idea why. Like I don't know. But I can remember walking in there every day for gym, and he would hand me the clipboard with the whistle on it, and be like, "Here you go, Peter." I have no idea. What, I mean, I can remember standing there when they did like weightlifting, and I would stand right next to him, and I would write the scores on the, you know, whatever. And when they would run, I would write the scores. And I think that's why it was so hard for me sometimes, you know, like I would have these teachers that, I had this French teacher. I loved this French teacher. I actually wrote this into my book, but I was so harassed in her class, and I remember one time she looked at me and she just said, "I'm sorry." Like, she didn't know what to say and what to do. And I was like, I don't know, I just kind of was like, if a teacher says something, a student is not going to come and beat a teacher up. I mean, a student is going to say, like, if you said to a student, like, you need to go to the dean's office, you're not going to talk about somebody that way in my class. Okay, like, a student's going to listen to that. Like, I just didn't understand even why these teachers were so afraid, you know. And then I had this one teacher, I can't even get into that tonight. I had a friend of mine, like, I told her this story. I told this story in something, I can't remember, I wrote it or something, about this teacher that I had, who I later found out was a lesbian, and she said some really ruthless shit to me in class. And my friend was like, helped with her because she like coached something in high school, and she goes, "She never said that to you." Like 20 years later, she looked at me and she goes, "She never said that to you." I go, "The fuck, she didn't say it to me." All right, what are you telling me? I lived it. Are you kidding me? She goes, "Oh, I don't think she said it. I think you're remembering it wrong." I was like, I can't believe that I'm even having to defend myself to a lifelong friend of mine, against somebody that said this to me 20 years ago. I just, you know. But it's like why I listen to these people say, and if you're a teacher out there, God love you for being a teacher. Stand up for the weak kids in class, because they need you. Okay, I was the weak kid in class, and I needed you to stand up for me. And I had a couple teachers that did, and very few, but a couple. And, you know, and I think like that football coach, he was one that I would have banked on not doing it and being a complete ass, right? He didn't tolerate it at all. You know, I was basically being ridiculed in a coming out of the shower, and that I like wouldn't even take my bathing suit off, you know, and he put an end to that real quick. But I wasn't going to put myself in a situation like that, you know. And then that's what, going forward, you know, it was like he looked over me, he watched out for me. And there was more to it than that. That wasn't the only incident. There were more incidents, but I'm like talking it through in my head, you know. It's like, you know, most kids I think loved Jim, you know what, through elementary school, you don't change out, you don't do anything, but starting in 6th grade, you change out for gym. And junior high was hard for me, really hard for me with gym. But you change out for gym. And think about doing this for 4 or 5 years of your life, right? When I walk in, think about this, okay? When I walk in the locker room, keep your eyes up. Don't ever look down. Always look straight ahead. Always look at your locker. Only look in your gym bag. Change. Get out as quick as you can. Make sure that you keep your hands to your side. You have to think that way, because one person being like, what are you looking at? Or, you know what I mean? It's scary. And it's then you get out, and I'm not a super athletic person. And so I'm sitting there and I'm playing volleyball or something, which I enjoy doing that stuff, but I can't even enjoy it because I'm the kid that they make fun of. My battery's about to die. So, they take so somebody let's say the big kid that doesn't like me is serving, and he takes his first shot and just booms it right at my head just because he can. And then I turn around and I'm like, damn, God, that hurt, And he's like, sorry. It was that shit constantly, baseball, right? I mean, always just throw it right, somewhere to hit me really, really hard. It was just always that. And just because they could. Kids are cruel. Kids are mean, And so I think to myself, I couldn't have been out. There's no way I could have been out in high school. And I think we've come far. I have friends of mine that I know, in recovery and stuff, and they'll tell me, their kids came out, and they'll be like, were you out in high school? And I'm like, no, but people thought I was anyway, I gotta change my battery here in a second. And they'll be like, well, my son or daughter just came out, and they're like, what can I do to be supportive? And I'm just like, just tell them, you don't judge them, and, you love them unconditionally, and, just be, there for them and whatever. And one of my friends was telling me his son came out, and his son's 14 or 15. And I said, because he had asked me, he called me when he came out, and he said, or he had told his mom first, and so he called me up and he goes, do I say something to him, or do I let him come to me? And I said, I think you let him come to you. I said, or, let his mom say, you care if I tell dad and whatever. And so anyway, they sat down, they had a conversation. He's like, well, Peter, what should I say to him? I said, just, you love your kid. Just, tell him, I love you unconditionally. I want to be able to protect you as much as possible, be safe. The same things my parents said to me, He was like, thank you so much for, telling me, blah, 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 whatever. Hold on a second. You guys, I have to show you this really quick, okay? So right here, I'm at this place, this Special Olympics in Indiana, place where you put your clothes. And do you see right there, there is a suitcase. Is this like the movie 7? It's a Nautica suitcase, do you see? You guys, this is the true crime in me, but what if there's a body in there? I am not, do not tell me to check, because I am not checking. Okay, I'm back. I'm not gonna vlog for a whole lot longer because I want to, I still haven't finished that damn audiobook, but I will tell you, it's pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's the best book I've ever read, but right now I'd probably give it a 4. It's called The In-Between. It's good. I mean, it's definitely science fiction. It's about, but not hardcore. It kind of reminds me of Blake Crouch, but not developed as well. I don't know. I'll have to see how it ends. I might give it a 3, but it's fast-paced. It's really kind of exciting to listen to, and you don't know what's going to happen next. It's not bad. It's not poorly done. It's good. But anyway, so he had the conversation with his son and whatever, and so from time to time, I'll just be like, he's one of my good friends, one of my really good friends in recovery. And I'll be like, how's your son doing? And he'll say, he's doing okay. And he asked me one time, he was like, I know you've talked about being bullied and whatever. He was like, was it for being effeminate in high school? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, you know, my son's like, he goes, we just encourage anything, you know, with him. But he's like, really, he's pretty effeminate. He really likes like the makeup and, you know, and he was asking me like, you know, about, I think it was James Charles. He's like, do you know who this person is from YouTube? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, he wants this palette. And I was like, okay. I said, you know, buy it for him. He'll love it, you know, whatever. And he's like, he's got all these girlfriends and they talk on the phone. And I said, so he's happy? He's like, oh yeah, he's real happy. He's like, you know, he's real dramatic and he's involved in theater in high school and or junior high or high school or whatever. But one time I talked to him, I said, how's your son doing? And he's like, he's doing good. He's like, you know, like he's got his group of, you know, friends. He goes, they're almost all exclusively girls. And he goes, but, you know, like he seems to have a good group of friends. He goes, but he's bullied pretty hard in school. And I said, really? And he goes, oh yeah. He goes, you know, my wife and I have had to go, and I know his wife too. She's really nice. And he said, we've had to go to the school a couple of times and, you know, deal with the fact that like teachers aren't handling situations. And he's like, you know, he's pretty vocal. So he comes home and tells us, like, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. So-and-so, you know, whatever, like, in her class today, this kid said this, and she didn't do anything about it, you know, and, or he'll go, like, down to his counselor's office and say, you know, I was in class and this happened and nobody will do anything about it, which I think it's great that kids feel that they can do that. I would never have done that in high school. I would have been terrified that would have got my ass beaten even more. But like I said, I wasn't out. I was trying to, like, keep, you know, save that, like, part of me from, like, you know, anybody knowing anything about me, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, here's my friend telling me this, which means that, like, and I don't know his son, I've never met his son or anything like that, but, you know, like, bullying is alive and well in America today, apparently, and probably elsewhere as well. And I think it always will be. I think it always will be. I don't think the issue is getting rid of bullying. I think the issue is, I've never thought the issue was, you know, when they say, like, anti-bullying campaigns, and we're going to teach, kids are always going to bully each other, okay? There's always going to be that. There's always going to be a hierarchy in classes of who's popular and who's not. There is always going to be that, okay? There's always going to be the haves and the have-nots, and let's just not act like there's not going to be that, okay? But what we can do is we can approach it from a point of love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness, you know, and getting people to see each side of their story and what's going on. We can minimize it. We can put, you know, programs in place that if you are part of bullying somebody and you are caught, that this is what you will happen to you, no tolerance laws. And I don't want to hear schools say they have no tolerance, you know, whatever, when the reality is they're tolerating a lot. They're allowing a lot to go by, you know? I've had friends of mine that are, like, literally school administrators, and they'll be like, so, like, you know, they'll ask me my opinion about it, and I'll be like, so you have a no bullying policy, like a no tolerance policy, and they're like, yeah, like, we're really strict about it. And I'm like, so what is your no tolerance policy? And they're like, we don't tolerate bullying of any kind whatsoever, you know? And I'm like, okay, so you expel somebody if they're bullying in school? Every single time I've asked that question, they just look at me and they don't say anything. And I'm like, so you suspend them if they're bullied? Well, they have to be evaluated for what the incident is. I said, so you do tolerate it. So you don't have a no tolerance rule. No tolerance would say that if you're bullying, then you get expelled. Well, it has to be evaluated. I said, well, to me, that's tolerance. I'm sorry. You know? And it can just take one bullying incident for somebody to take their life, you know? Like, so, I don't know. I think school administrators need to take it really, really seriously. There are kids that are suffering and dying in schools that nobody even recognizes them or knows who they are or thinks anything about them, you know? And they're dying, and they don't have one friend in the school. Not one person is recognizing them or acknowledging them. Those are the kids that need the attention, you know? Screw these kids that are the quarterback of the football teams getting 4.0s, the kids that are getting all the attention, you know, I mean, those kids, yes, I believe that they need attention too, don't get me wrong, okay? I mean, they all need attention, but they're getting a lot of it. You know, what about the girl that's sitting in the very back in the corner every single day? She doesn't have one friend, she eats lunch alone, nobody ever talks to her, nobody knows what the hell is going on with her at home. She may have a horrible home life. Is anybody worried about her? Maybe she's not even being bullied. Maybe she's just being forgotten. That hurts just as bad, to be forgotten. You know, I think to be forgotten, to be unnoticed is worse than all of it. I was watching something. I wish, if somebody knows what this is, would you please tell me this? I don't know if it was a YouTube video. I don't know if it was a TV show. It was a documentary, though. I'm almost positive it was a documentary. But it was somebody talking about, like, thinking about taking their life. And it was like, either they said, I've talked about it on here before. Literally, this was just in the last couple of months that I watched this. They said, I just can't believe for the life of me, I can't remember what this is. Do you know, I think it may be 13 Reasons Why. I think it may be that one guy from 13 Reasons Why that said it. But he said, or something around that I watched, about nobody would even notice or acknowledge him when he walked down the hall, through the halls of the high school. And that if even just one person, or that one day, somebody, like that day, was it him? Or maybe it was that. I think it was that day he had decided that he was going to end his life. But he was walking through the halls, and that was the day that somebody looked at him and said, how are you doing? Or, hey, how are you? And they acknowledged him, and that changed everything for him that day. You know, we don't know. You know, like, I was dying in the rooms of recovery. And even when I came back, you know, at first, and I heard this lead from this woman. I've talked about this on here before, but it's really powerful for me. I heard this lead from this woman, and she said that, am I out on time? She said that every day she would go to this meeting, and people would be like, hey, how are you? One woman would ask her every day, how are you doing? And she said, I'm doing fine. Every day, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. She wouldn't elaborate. This one day, this woman looked at her, and she said, how are you really doing? Or something like that. She said, I'm not doing okay. I'm not doing okay at all. And, like, that was really the day that, like, the difference began for her. And I remember I heard that lead, and that changed everything for me. I realized I wasn't helping anybody, myself and nobody else, to sit there and continue to act like everything was fine in my life when I felt like I was dying inside, you know? There's a difference between feeling like you're dying and wanting to die too. I haven't really ever experienced, my cousin Caroline and I talk about that. We sometimes wonder why that is. Like, she and I both felt like, I've never really felt that. I felt that feeling of just giving up or I don't care, but I've never felt that feeling, and I know a lot of people have. I don't know why I haven't, but I've never had that feeling of, like, wanting to die. Like, I think maybe it's my overwhelming fear of death, but, and I don't think that makes me better or worse. I think it just is, like, you know, it just is, you know, who I am. And, but, like, I've also been to a point where I don't care either way. You know what I mean? And to be to a point where you're just so, like, apathetic and you don't really care about anything anymore, and you lack emotion, and you're just kind of, like, dead inside already. Like, that's really where I was right before I came back into the rooms, like the night that I called up Tanya. So if you guys don't know this story, if you haven't watched for a long time, there were 4 years that I didn't go to meetings. And it was, Alex and I met in August of 2008, and it was like that November. And it didn't really have a whole lot to do with Alex whatsoever. It had to do with, I was already not participating a ton in recovery anyway. So one of the things they say is it's hard to step away from, or it's easy to step away from one meeting a week. I had reduced my meetings from, like, 3 meetings to 1 meeting. I wasn't really interacting with a lot of people in recovery. I wasn't doing any service work. I wasn't really talking to anybody. My mom had died. I had grown kind of angry at God without even really recognizing it. And then I got into an argument with somebody in my home group. And I used that as an excuse to say, F those people, they don't know me, they don't care about me, I'm not going back, I'm done. And I just didn't want to be there. And so for the next 4 years, Although, I continue to say I'm sober, and I talk to my sponsor every once in a blue moon, and Tanya every day. She was literally my lifeline to recovery. And I would read my meditations and stuff, but I had, like, literally no spiritual foundation. I can remember, like, it didn't even mean anything to me at that time, and I had no emotional sobriety. And I just wasn't, like, and what that means is you can take the drugs and the drink away, but, like, who are you? Like, are you just dry, or do you, like, have, like, are you growing as a person? And if you're not growing as a person, then you have no emotional sobriety, right? And so I basically was kind of dead inside at the end, and, you know, like, our marriage was failing, and we just weren't happy, either one of us. And I literally would sit on the front porch and just play Scrabble on my phone. I just drank unreal amounts of coffee and smoked cigarettes, and I just was miserable. And I can remember, like, a month before I made a change, like, Alex was standing. We have, like, a glass door that goes into our door. It was, like, a big main door and then, like, a glass door, and it was just, like, open. And I was sitting out there in the cold, you know, and with, like, a big hoodie on. And I remember he looked at me and he said, he came outside and he sat down next to me. He stood there. I looked over and he was standing in the glass door. And he came out and he sat down next to me and he put his, like, hand on my leg. And he said, I feel like I can't do anything to help you. And I just started crying, and I was like, you can't. And he's like, well, what's going on? And I said, I don't know, I couldn't verbalize it. Have you ever just been so sad, and just, like, so gone, you can't verbalize it? Like, you don't even know what's wrong. I couldn't put it together. There were so many things and nothing at the same time. Like, it was weird. And I really had never grieved my mother passing, too. I think that was a huge part of it. And he said something like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. Like, he's like, if you're unhappy with me, or if you're unhappy with us, then, like, let's work on it. But, like, I can't just continue to sit here day out and not feel like I can do anything to fix it or help in any kind of way. Which really wasn't kind of something Alex usually says. Like, he's not that person, so. But that wasn't what got me turned around, you know? It was like a month later, I wrote my list down of, like, everything that I needed to do for the day, and it was like laundry, vacuum, fold laundry, I don't know, I had like 5 things, and I got to, like, my 4th thing, and I lost it completely. I just started bawling. I was like, you cannot even pull it together to do this. And I picked up the phone and I called Tanya. I was sobbing. And I said, will you take me to a meeting tonight? And she started bawling, and she said, I've been praying for 4 years for you to ask me that. And she did. She took me to a meeting that night. And it was a Tuesday night, which is our home group, and she said, do you want to go to our home group meeting? I said, F those people. I didn't have overnight growth, you know, I just didn't. And it was, like, horribly snowing that night, and so, because it was in January, it was into January, and so we went to this meeting at this clubhouse, and there was, like, 4 other people there, and one of them, I've told this a million times, but was this girl that I had known. Well, she had been gone just as much as I had, so it ended up being just this great meeting of where we were talking about how we had stepped out, and we came back, you know, and I came back with this, I was back. And I remember I was so excited, and just the look on Alex's face when I came home that night, and I looked at him, and I'll never forget this. I said to him, I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna save myself, or I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna save myself in our marriage, but either way, I'm gonna get better. And he looked at me, and he just was like, I love you, and I want the best for you, and I want the best for us. And that definitely was not the only thing that saved our marriage, but I can tell you right now, we wouldn't be married if I hadn't gotten back into meetings. I had to fix myself. I was a huge part of the problem, and he didn't know what to do. You know, and then, like, that wasn't, of course, when we started marriage counseling. That was, like, years later. But the marriage counseling really helped. But I will tell you that our marriage in that first year that I went back to meetings greatly improved. And I was going to 14 meetings a week. I was going to 2 meetings a day. And so, you know, on Friday nights, we would have date night. And then, I think this is actually where our brunch thing started. Friday nights, date night. Saturday nights, he would go out and do his thing, and I would go to this candlelight meeting. And then I can remember, like, getting out of my candlelight meeting, which was, like, from 10:30 to 11:30, and then I would go to Steak and Shake with these people, and I can remember texting him that I was on my way to Steak and Shake or calling him, and he would just be, like, going out, you know? And then I would, like, I had this girlfriend of mine that she was probably, like, 2 years sober at the time, and her kids were with their dad on the weekends. So she and I would hang out after the Steak and Shake and drink coffee on her patio and listen to music if it was cold outside or whatever. And she really saved my life. This other girl I was friends with at the time, too, she and I were, so she had a police radio on her phone. I had the app, too. And so we would, like, just, like, drive around and we listen to where, like, stuff was going down. And we'd be like, oh my God, right to that street, down that street right there, something's going on. She and I used to have a lot of fun. She was, like, probably a year sober when I met her, because she had just gotten off a work release. And she really kept me entertained for that year, you know, because Tanya had her business and her husband and everything. But I saw Tanya a lot, and then so then that was Friday night was our date night, Alex and I's date night, and then Saturday night we each did our own thing, and then Sunday we would do brunch at Patashoe, and then we would, like, watch movies all afternoon and stuff, you know. And it was nice, and we reconnected, and we started going to dinner a couple nights throughout the week, but not often because I was going to meetings, you know. But like we started really reconnecting, and I have to say it was like it gave a little structure to our marriage and that we needed. And I also was not going to bed at that time super late. Like, it's important for me sometimes to lay down with, most nights, to lay down with my husband, like he goes to bed, or be laying down and then he comes to bed and we talk for a little bit. At that time, I was going to bed with him. So, like, or like, you know, a half an hour later, because I would get up and I would go, my first meeting I would go to the noon and the 8 every day. So I would get up and I would go to, this rain, it just continues to come down. I would go to I would get up and I would take a shower. I did my hair every day, never wore a hat. Got up, took a shower, did my hair every single day. I always wore, I have it down in the basement. I don't know why, but like I had these like 3 button down, I actually got them from a thrift store. They were button down colored, like blue button, like business shirts, you know, button down collared shirts from Nordstrom. And they were real comfy. I would always wear them with jeans. And that was also a point when I started putting on a lot of weight though too, because I wasn't going out anymore, so I didn't feel like I had this need to look a certain way, and I was just going to meetings, and people loved me unconditionally, and it wasn't like I had to look a certain way, so I was wearing like a lot of hoodies in the fall and winter, and so, I mean, I just throw on a hoodie, and hell, I mean, it didn't matter how big my gut got, you know what I mean? Nobody cared, and Alex was supportive of me just being sober and going to meetings and stuff, and I don't know, that was a good time. It was a fun time of my life. And I started living and I started caring again, and our marriage improved as a result. You know, it didn't fix everything, obviously. That's why we ended up going to marriage counseling, but it fixed a lot. And when I was watching that movie today, you know, they've been together like 65 years. I mean, obviously Alex and I or 72 now, I guess, but Alex and I got together late in life. We won't be able to be together for 72 years, but I was thinking about the fact that, you know, like we've been together 12 years, and or it'll be 12 years in August, it been 12 years already, or will it be 12 years? No, it'll be 12 years in August. I'm really proud of that. You know, we've been together a really long time, and it really means a lot to me that we're able to hold that together for that long. I love my husband, you know? And I think about those days of sitting on the patio and how quick I was to just, he could have just walked away. And I honestly, I don't think I cared about myself, and I don't think I cared about him, and I didn't care about us, definitely. And I would have just let him walk away. I think we're sometimes so easy, we're so just so willing to just let something just walk away from us, you know? And, I think I would have just let him walk away. I'm glad I didn't, you know? But for the grace of God, I really do not know what happened that day to me. I don't know if it was a spiritual moment of clarity. I don't know if it was awakening. I don't know what happened. I literally have no clue what happened to me that day, but I broke. I just broke, and I'm so thankful. I owe my life to my best friend. I mean, when I talk about her being my heartstone and my best friend, like, yes, that's all true. I owe my life to her. And I don't owe my life to her because she picked, you know, she took me to a meeting. I could have taken myself to a meeting, okay? I don't owe my life to her because I didn't know anything about, I knew about recovery. I could have gone to myself, but I wasn't willing to. I owe her my life because she picked up the phone. Had she not been my friend, had she not been in my life anymore, had she not stood by me, because you know, a lot of people, I mean, whenever I say, like, I don't know where my friends are that went back out using, it's not because of me. I've tried to stay in contact with them. They've floated away through the years, you know? Tanya never gave up. Never did she ever give up on me. And when I needed her, she was there, you know? That's a friend. She saved my life. Like I said, Tanya said 2 years in, Peter's not doing this recovery stuff anymore, and even though he's not drinking, like, I just can't do it or whatever, like, you know, I need to distance myself from him. Who would I have called that day? I wouldn't have called my sponsor. I wouldn't have. I don't know who I would have called, you know? So she saved my life. And I don't know if I ever really looked at it that way until tonight, thinking about it. But she did. It's weird when I think about those 4 years that I didn't go to meetings. I don't remember ever having the urge in those 4 years to drink. Alex went out of town for a meeting one weekend, a business conference in Chicago. And he had like an unopened bottle of vodka that we had gotten at some like VIP party or something in the freezer. And I can remember I had talked to him on like the Friday night. And it was like 10 o'clock, and they had to be up at like 6. He went up there with this girl, and they had to be up at like 6 o'clock the next morning. And so he called me to say goodnight at like 10 o'clock. And I remember thinking, I could lock my phone, I could put it in like a drawer somewhere, and I could drink this bottle of vodka, and then I could go tomorrow and get a new bottle of vodka, and he would never know. And I remember that thought came into my head and it went right on out. Like, I didn't entertain it for long. And that was not going to meetings or having really any sobriety. I don't, thank you. But for the grace of God, thank you, God. I don't know why that came in and went out, but it did. That was the only time really in 4 years that I ever thought about it. I was in bars a lot. I was in VIP sections. I had free access to alcohol. People were doing shots around me a lot. I don't know why. I was super social during that time. I don't know why it never, like... But I was always real honest with people. Like, I'd always be like, yeah, I'm sober. I've been sober for such and such amount of time, you know, whatever. Like, it was always I was always like, that's who I am, right? Even though I wasn't going to meetings. I think that honesty really helped a lot. But, you know, I don't know how I didn't use in that time. I'm so thankful I didn't. At the time, it's weird. Like, Tanya and I will talk about it. It's like, at the time... It didn't, like Tanya would say, I don't know, I can remember we would have conversations and she'd say, I don't know how you go out to these bars and you're out to these bars at 4 o'clock in the morning and you don't have a desire to drink. Like, I would want to drink. And I'm like, I don't know, Tanya, I like really don't think about it. And I really didn't think about it, you know? Well, I was sitting in VIP sections that they had given us, you know, because Alex and I had started the blog at that time that was just like a local thing. And so like, they'd be like, give us this with like, let's say 3 bottles of Kettle One if we brought like 10 people with us, you know? And I'd be like sitting there and like, I never thought about having a drink. Like it never occurred to me, you know? I think also Alex knew enough about my drinking and my recovery that he would say, and you know, he knew Tanya and all that kind of stuff, and he would say, like I would say, what would happen if I ever went back out? And he'd say, I'd leave immediately. Like I already know that that's not gonna work, you know? And my dad had a lot of conversations with him about it too. So, like I liked being sober, I just didn't want to do the work, you know? But today, going to meetings, being active, you know, working with others, doing service, having a sponsor that I'm really active with, you know, doing service work, going to meetings, reading the text. I don't know how I didn't pick, like I look back and I think to myself, how did I not pick up? Like today, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's crazy, you know? But, all right, I have gone on and on and on again, all over the place. I didn't expect to do that, so I'm gonna get off here now. Oh my God, I've got 2.5 minutes to close this out. So it's 27, we're at 27 minutes and 28 seconds, 29 seconds, 27. Okay, anyway, thank you guys. If you made it this far and you made it all the way through the vlog, thank you so much. Please put a blue heart in the comment section below. For the OG Wolf Pack, that's everybody over here that watches the videos, and we're just trying to get through life together. Please give this video a big thumbs up, and make sure that you're still subscribed to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Make sure that you're subscribed to all of my channels, and don't forget that the True Crime Book Club now has a Facebook group. It is linked below. It's the first thing that's linked below. All you have to do is go over there and request to be part of it. I hope you guys are having an amazing, it's the beginning of the week. I hope you're having an amazing Monday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something fun today. If you have to go back to work, come home and relax. Do something fun. Start a new TV show. Start a new book. Start a new craft or project. Do something that will make yourself proud when you look back on it tomorrow or next week or a year from now or 60 years from now or 10 years from now or 69 years from now. Family friendly. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say, I love you. And I'm going to just pick one positive affirmation today, and I'm going to say, you matter. Each and every person out there matters. If you think you don't, you're making a difference in this world. You're making a difference in this world to at least one person. Trust me. And you may not even know who it is. And every night before you go to bed, say, tomorrow is going to be an amazing day. I'm going to be happy, joyous, and free all day tomorrow. And I'm going to laugh and sing and dance and have great opportunities and exciting experiences that are going to bring positivity to my life. And if I don't, and if I get off track, I can start my day over whenever I want. And when you wake up in the morning, say to yourself, today is going to be an amazing day. I'm going to be happy, joyous, and free all day today. I'm going to laugh and sing and dance and smile and have great opportunities. And if my day gets off track, then I can start my day over whenever I want. Remember to reach out to others, and most importantly, to reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you today. Whoever, just say, hey, I just want to let you know I was thinking of you today. Anybody. And practice random acts of kindness, and don't tell anyone. We just do it to put goodness out there in the world, to be kind to people, to be loving people. And I made it. Before the end, I got 15 seconds left. So I just want to say, I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you tomorrow. I love you guys. Bye. Love ya!